Good afternoon to One Step Forward and your partners, ladies and gentlemen, friends. Let me first begin by offering an apology for High Commissioner Ramakan and his wife, Dr. Ramakan, who are unable to be with us this afternoon due to having another standing engagement. I wish to thank the leadership of One Step Forward, Mrs. Patricia Mackenzie Thomas and her team, for inviting my participation in this very worthy event. I am truly honored to be here today in support of your efforts to safeguard. On behalf of the Jamaican High Commissioner, I wish to congratulate One Step Forward for your steadfast commitment to protecting the interests of our children. We commend you for your work in organizing this 7th annual staging under the theme, Every Journey is Unique. There is no doubt that the global pandemic has had an immense impact on the lives of our children. They've had to learn and relearn new coping mechanisms. They've had to improve their relationship with and understanding of modern technology, and have been forced to operate in a socially distanced environment. It is therefore quite timely and prudent that this year's conference will be zooming in on the issues surrounding child protection throughout lockdown and the impact that COVID-19 has had on our children's mental health, their education, and social development. It has been reported that during this pandemic, schools and communities have lost track of many of our children, many of whom have had to be homeschooled or have had to be utilizing online learning platforms.
You're listening to the Jamaican Diaspora live online on Power 106 FM, bringing you live coverage of the first hour of the One Step Forward Consultancy International Safeguarding Children Conference, being held in cyberspace with participants from all over the world. More in a moment.
Ideal Finance Corporation, 17 Ripon Road, Kingston 5, offers competitive interest rates on your investments and attractive foreign exchange rates. Call 960-6390-4.
The time by Ideal Finance is
16 minutes past 8 o'clock in the morning here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica.
You can depend on Total Vision for comprehensive eye care for the entire family. We test for glaucoma, cataracts, and other eye diseases. We have a wide selection of designer frames, prescription and colored lenses. Also available, Total Vision, Suite number 3, Shadrock Business Center, Brands Crescent, Maypen, and 10 Hagley Park Road, Kingston. 986-4153 and 926-5126. Total Vision, where good vision is always in style.
Our family and friends are a big part of who we are. And when it comes to keeping you connected to them, Grace Kennedy Money Services Western Union makes it safer and easier. Now friends and family overseas can use the Western Union app or westernunion.com to send money directly to your bank account without leaving home. Receive a Western Union money transfer directly into your bank account with a direct-to-bank service. Register online at gkmsonline.com and share your banking details with your sender so you don't have to leave home to collect.
Good ideas grow from informed decisions. Make the right choice. Sign up for Gleaner Premium today. Get access to additional news and information at your fingertips. Keep up with current events anywhere. Get the exclusive Gleaner Premium experience and pay nothing for 30 days. Go to jamaica-gleaner.com/premium to enjoy this limited time deal. Gleaner Premium. Choose to unlock more.
Wherever you go, in tribute to Jamaicans in the diaspora, wherever you go, you shine. You make us proud. Despite our challenges at home, you never give up on us. Our sincere thanks. Wherever you go, shine.
Patrice Laird Grant of the Jamaican High Commission in London has been making her remarks at this One Step Forward Consultancy International Safeguarding Children's Conference. Let's rejoin the connection.
Jamaican High Commission. I wish you a fruitful conference. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Deputy High Commissioner, Mrs. Patrice Laird Grant. Thank you very much. And it was very apt that you lay the charge on all present here, and by extension, those who are listening across the world to this broadcast, that safeguarding is paramount as we navigate this new norm. What is this new norm, and how do we safeguard and protect our children in this new norm? Why are we having this conference? Why is the conference situated in two jurisdictions, two prominent jurisdictions, United Kingdom and the beloved Jamaica, and celebrated and supported by other diaspora regions? Why? We love Jamaica, and we want to see our Jamaican children who we have bestowed the future upon their shoulders. We want to see them strive. We want to see them be the best versions of themselves. And within Jamaica, there's a particular agency, the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, that oversees the protection and safeguarding the nation's children. It's a heavy task. And that's why One Step Forward is always happy to support an agency such as the CPFSA. And we have the CEO, Mrs. Rosalie Gage-Gray, who will be leading a discussion, leading a presentation, and however you would want to frame her delivery this morning, it's within the context, the positive work that is being provided by our child protection and family services professionals in areas of safeguarding in the continuing phase of change. The continuing phase of change. We introduce Mrs. Rosalie Gage-Gray. And whilst Mrs. Gage-Gray prepared to make her delivery, would like to thank Victoria Mutual for their continued support, ever present, ever willing to extend what we're doing internationally. CPFSA has always been there, as mentioned by Mrs. Patricia Mackenzie Thomas, and of course, Power 106, the medium in which you are hearing this live conference. Hope Mrs. Gage-Gray is ready.
I'm ready.
All right, Mrs. Gage-Gray.
A pleasant good morning to everyone, to our host, Mr. Hyde, to Mrs. Patricia Mackenzie Thomas, for continuing to host this conference every year. I guess like everything else, we have moved online, and to your my fellow panelists and to participants, I see a number of my own staff who have joined us online this morning. I'm gonna try to share my screen. If that doesn't work, then I'll just speak to the issues that are there. I think that feature is disabled. So I'll just go and speak to the issue. So
You keep
the child protection and family services.
You can try now. You can try
Uh-huh.
sharing. You can try sharing now.
Okay, there we go. All right, so thanks again for having me on this forum this morning. It has been a very challenging time for all of us, primarily our children. And as we seek to make sure that they are safeguarded and they are protected, we continue to monitor and to do the work that is necessary to ensure that. Just to give you a little background on the CPFSA, we changed name in 2017 after the merger with the Office of the Children's Registry, now the NCR, and the CPFSA through its services continue to offer care and protection to children. Just a little history, the agency was formed in 2004, just about the same time that the new act, the Child Care and Protection Act, was promulgated here in Jamaica. And that act embodies the protocols or articles of the UNCRC. We're under the purview of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. We have island-wide coverage. We are in all 14 parishes across the island. We monitor and regulate approximately 52 children's homes located across the island. Majority of those are within our Southeast region, which is Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, and St. Thomas. We have just over 4,500 children in direct care, but we have another 8 or 10,000 that access our services throughout the year. Additionally, we work very closely with partners, both government and non-governmental organizations. As you know, the work of child protection cannot be done without collaboration, and even this forum, we have partnered and collaborated with Patricia and her team over the years. Our role takes in all the regular child protection and safeguarding roles within the agency. We have, through the NCR, the intake services where we do receive reports of child abuse, and those are recorded and referred for investigations. We, as you can see on the screen there, we do licensing and regulation of our facilities, residential facilities. We are in that cycle now. And this year we are taking a very keen look at these regulatory services for our children in care. And we are trying to ensure that once we issue a license, it is to an operator that will ensure that our children are safeguarded, that we act in their best interests. We do monitor police lockup. This is not something that is usually highlighted, but we have the responsibility that if a child is picked up by the police in need of care and protection, we have to remove that child to a place of safety. And if others who have come in contact with the law are being held, we go in to see how the circumstances under which they are being held and the provision of services for them and how are those services. And these would include services like if their psychosocial needs are being taken care of, if their medical needs, and if they are being fed, to name a few. And of course, we do have the Ananda Alert Secretariat. This is the missing children unit that we work closely with the police to ensure that children who go missing are returned and to provide psychosocial counseling. Our counseling services and psychological services have become one of our main area of focus, and this is primarily because of the level of abuse that we are seeing and the support that children require based on the level of trauma they would have suffered because of these level of abuse. The Child Care and Protection Act, which is the principal piece of legislation that governs our work, outlines the principles under which we as Jamaicans here in Jamaica is required to keep our children safe and to act always in their best interests. It highlights the fact that every adult has a duty to make a report. And we have been emphasizing the fact that you don't have to know for sure. If you suspect even that a child is being abused, then the requirement is for you to make that report. We also have some prescribed persons who, based on their duty or line of work, are required to have a greater duty, we would say, to provide to provide services and to report to the NCR cases of abuse that may come to their attention by virtue of their area of work. So we have our health professionals or educational professionals, social workers, persons in the early childhood institutions, or anybody else that works with children. And as we said before, all adults, everybody has a responsibility to report. We do and are encouraging now children to self-report, and we will shortly add to our means of communication with the agency a 3-digit number 211 that will assist, we believe, children to easily remember that number and to also call through to us.
Listening there to Mrs. Rosalie Gage Gray, the Chief Executive Officer of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, making her contribution to the One Step Forward International Safeguarding Children Conference happening now.
Have a customs related query? Let's talk. Email public.relations@jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
8:30.
The official After Champs party is live on Fame Frequency this Saturday, May 15, 8:30 p.m. to midnight. Rep your alma mater, rep your colors, Champs style. Spinning the tracks. DJs Arif Cooper, King Tash, Xavier, and Kemar Genius. Hosted by Dr. Duffy Shepherd, live on RETV cable and YouTube channels. One Spot Media, Fame 95, and Radio Jamaica 94 FM. It's Fame Frequency, the After Champs party, powered by Smirnoff Vodka, the world's #1 vodka. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly. Grace Foods, taste that moves you. Western Union, register for Western Union Direct to Bank on gkmsonline.com. GK Insurance, because we care. And Maxi Distribution, the safety champion.
Wherever you go, in tribute to Jamaicans in the diaspora, wherever you go, you shine. You make us proud. Despite our challenges at home, you never give up on us. Our sincere thanks. Wherever you go, shine.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on the Jamaican Diaspora live online on Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm. We're bringing to you live the first hour of the One Step Forward Consultancy International Safeguarding Children Conference, which is happening right now, mainly between the UK and Jamaica. A lot of the participants on board are in the United Kingdom, and there are those right here in Jamaica and indeed elsewhere in the world. Mrs. Rosalie Gage Gray is the Chief Executive Officer of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, and she has been making her presentation to this International Safeguarding Children's Conference 2021, being held under the theme, Every Journey is Unique and Everything You Do Counts. And this is the first hour that we're carrying, but the conference itself goes for 4 hours. It started at 8 and will run until midday Jamaica time, and started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon UK time, will go until 6 o'clock this evening in the UK, and in the US and Canada, it's 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Let's rejoin Mrs. Rosalie Gage-Gray and listen to her presentation.
Based on the numbers of the COVID, we had to revert to virtual schooling. And this, when you speak with the children, it's just so sad how they are not adjusting well. Some we find are coping, but we find that a number of the children, they prefer to be in school with their friends and having that social interaction, which is so very important for their development. The access to devices and internet is an issue we see where the government, through the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, has launched the One Tablet per Child initiative, or One Device per Child initiative. That has been going very well. For our own children in care, we have been able to provide for the majority of them a device, and we continue to source devices so that we can present to our children. The impact in terms of, to look a little closer at it, the levels of engagement in distance learning during school closure, remote teaching is varied by age, with children in the pre to basic schools having the lowest engagement. And you see the percentages there. The main reason, say, for high schoolers is the lack of a suitable device or lack of internet access. And we do see the internet providers trying to boost their services across the island so that our children can have access. We do see a number of citizens and private organizations coming out in this regard to assist. We have seen cases where even the police at the police stations have given access to children. We see where the libraries are giving access so that children can have access to their schools. And we see even members of the community lending a hand there as well. And as this COVID pandemic continues, I think it's going to be very important that as the village, we do assist as best as we can those children who are there. The research spoke about the loss of income for households, and this now is causing a lot of stress and tension within families. Parents are becoming frustrated and would require support to be able to provide for their children. We here again see the government through their cash disbursements and private citizens and NGOs providing care packages that has been very helpful to many households that are so affected across the island. The nutritional needs, as you might be aware, the government through the PATH program and Ministry of Education do provide support and in terms of lunch to children at school, and them not being at school, I know that some cash disbursements were done for especially those children on PATH. But this is an area again where we are looking to see how we can support our children. For those in our direct care, the Ministry of Education did provide an additional allowance for nutrition, which was dispersed earlier this year. And we are hoping that we can continue to give that support as the children are primarily at home. And as you know, being home, they are eating more than the norm. And so we have to make sure that we are providing that for them. Supervision online primarily, or generally, is a cause of concern for us. We find that with the issues as mentioned before, families are finding it difficult because they have to go to work, and with school not being out, how do you properly supervise your children? That is also problematic because, as we know, children are abused by people close to them, within the household, within the communities. And so this again places a burden on parents and guardians to make sure that they are making proper arrangements for the supervision of their children at home. And so we continue to work with the communities and with the families that we can address that. Physical violence, I guess as we would say, the issues surrounding the increased pressure on families to provide for their children increases their level of frustration, causes altered mental health states. And so this is bringing to the fore again this issue of physical violence. We see domestic violence playing a role as well, and what strategies we would have to develop and to counteract this and to support our children as they go through this very traumatic period for them. The emotional impact is there, and it's really for children. Boredom is a go-to word for them. Everything is, I'm bored, I have nothing to do. But we do find some positives in terms of greater time being spent with children at home for families. The ability to go outside and do play within their own space is there, and the closer bonding with parents is some positives we are seeing. But we also have to note, and we ask parents to observe the issues that they might see coming into focus. The impact of abuse on the children, and we are seeing, as we said before, all levels of abuse being reported into the National Children's Registry or through our 14 parish offices across the island. We have reduced somewhat our face-to-face contact, but the nature of social work and the work that we do, we have to be out there 24/7. So a lot of us not working from home. I think it's probably about 2 days since the last year and a half that I have stayed home. It's very important that we are in the spaces. We have embarked on what we call, it was previously walkthroughs through communities. We are doing mostly now drive-throughs, where we drive through the communities with a town crier and do provide information to persons as to how they can get to house, how they can report, and just to give some support on the ground to our families. And so we recommend that, there are strict biosecure protocols in schools and for the children, that we keep children safe. We reassure parents. Financial support is provided so that children can be taken care of. We want universal access for children and their families, internet access, and that we look at initial support and how we can continue to provide that. And we, because of the pandemic and the need to support our families and for us all to get this pandemic behind us, we are emphasizing and pushing for the wearing of masks and the regular protocols for the pandemic, and also vaccination. We have encouraged our officers that as soon as it becomes available to them, that they should, not compulsory by any means, but we are strongly encouraging our officers to take the vaccination. And so that's the presentation. We at the Child Protection and Family Services Agency are continuing to ensure that as best as possible we safeguard and protect the interests of children in Jamaica. And if there are other children who come into our space here, that we offer the same services. So thanks so much for having me this morning, and do enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Gage Gray. And I'm pretty sure that there will be some questions coming your way. So if you could stick around for a little while for the Q&A. But what we'll be doing now is moving into another presenter's area, specialty, which is mental health. And you did mention some percentage here, Mrs. Gage Gray. You mentioned 79% witness violence in the communities, 80% experience psychological and physical abuse, and this is due to discipline. And that's quite intriguing. Is it the tough love has now gotten tougher because of COVID? What are the underlying or the underpinning reasons why caregivers are more, I would say probably harder? We'll search for some of the words, the professional words, the jargons that may be used in the social work sphere to probably explain why these things are happening. 45% for food shortages across tested families. 56 to 57% when the home is headed by the female and 2 or more children. Mrs. Gage Gray, we can attest to that the children are eating more, being at home. I tell you, every day. There's one, I think it's a rule now in my home, that is a bread a day. I don't care what size bread it is.
Corey Hyde, who has been chairing this One Step Forward Consultancy International Safeguarding Children Conference, sharing a bit of an anecdote there. Our coverage continues right after the break.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
8:45. The RGR Gleaner Group Cross Country Invasion goes to church this Sunday, May 16, with a virtual broadcast, and Power 106 FM will be there. Join Althea McKenzie for a live broadcast from the Freetown Baptist Church in Clarendon, 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., as we seek God's guidance and blessings. This broadcast is brought to you by main sponsors, Caribbean Dreams, Be Good to You, Digicel Foundation. Together we create a world where no one is left behind. Associate sponsors, Garrett Trading, Design Your Style, Gateway Cooperative Credit Union, opening the way to your financial success. Fosco Oats, Afui Fosco, Ministry of Justice, taking justice to the people of Jamaica. Road Safety Council, making road safety a way of life. Caribbean School of Medical Science, Jamaica, Knowledge, Competence, and Humanity. Bulwark Insurance Agency, Insurance Made Easy. Stewart's Automotive Group, Guardian General Insurance, Live Safe, Live Easy, and Ministry of National Security. Spot them, stop them, and report them.
The official After Champs party is live on Fame Frequency this Saturday, May 15, 8:30 p.m. to midnight. Rep your alma mater, rep your colors, Champs style. Spinning the tracks. DJs Arif Cooper, King Taj, Xavier, and Kemar Genius. Hosted by Dr. Duffy Shepherd, live on RETV cable and YouTube channels. One Spot Media, Fame 95, and Radio Jamaica 94 FM. It's Fame Frequency, the After Champs party. Powered by Smirnoff Vodka, the world's #1 vodka. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly. Grace Foods, taste that moves you. Western Union, register for Western Union Direct to Bank on gkmsonline.com. GK Insurance, because we care. And Maxi Distribution, the safety champion.
Wherever you go.
The One Step Forward International Safeguarding Children Conference is on. It's a virtual conference. We're carrying the first hour. We started at 8 o'clock and we'll wrap our coverage at 9. But the conference itself will go on for another 3 hours after we would have concluded our live coverage of the first hour. So bear that in mind. At this time, the discussion continues. Vice President for Europe at the World Federation for Mental Health, WFMH, Professor Henk Parmentier, has started his presentation looking at the mental health implications of COVID-19. Let's listen to Professor Henk Parmentier.
However, another form of it, and in the old days they thought there were two separate forms, but now we know it is one and the same animal, but it transforms. It transforms from the nice green animal to a much more muscular and colorful animal, the locus gregaria. And the locus gregaria, and again, it's the same animal as the little green one, is the one we have our biblical reference to. It spreads around, it eats everything, and it's quite a pest. And how is it possible that one little animal turns into quite a nasty animal? That's due to a brain hormone called serotonin. And we human beings, we are mimicking it, believe it or not, because if you look on the top of the screen here, you can see that people are doing the locust pose. They're trying to mimic locusts. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll leave that to your own imagination. And what we can see in the lockdown is from a relatively bored and boring bunch of people, we lock people up in their own homes. They get very stressed. And you can see the same transformation. If you look at Zoom meetings, you now see people dressed up, very colorful, very muscular. So you can see in the human being, due to the same levels of serotonin, the raising of the serotonin hormone, that we move from the green grasshopper to the very nasty, potential, dangerous, swarming, gregarious locust. So what happens in nature is also happening in humankind due to serotonin levels change. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter. I'm not going to bother you with too much detail of it, but it's an important one, and it has to do with our bowel function, our mood, our clothing, our nausea, sexual function. Serotonin is everywhere in our body. And it can lead to domestic violence. Domestic violence, if you look at the facts, you can see that if you keep people close together, the domestic violence goes up. And in China, for example, where the first lockdowns appeared, there's now evidence that it tripled the cases of domestic violence. If you look in the UK, we can see that domestic abuse killings, so people, mainly females, killed due to domestic violence, has more than doubled in the first lockdown in the UK. And it's not always that suddenly there are a lot of more violent men around. It's mainly because there is no escape for the women. They're locked down with the predator in one home. And if you take a little side path, we can see the same in animals. The amount of shocking cruelty and neglect to animals was steeply raised as well in the UK during the first lockdown. Children, of course, are in the same boat. They are locked in the same close environment with their parents, and they cannot go to school or nurseries. Child maltreatment, the core component of this conference and all the other 7 conferences, is important. Child maltreatment is a human rights violation, and it's a very complex public health issue. Child abuse happens everywhere, and you can see any type of maltreatment that inflicts harm on children can be classified as child maltreatment. And it's not the same as one smack leaves a bruise. It can really cause enduring harm to a child. And again, if you look at the psychology of lockdown, with the COVID pandemic, the family dynamics changed in a way that children had no way to go away. They were locked in the home and they had home schooling, meaning there was no way to find help. It only stresses that professional educators have a very key role in the early detection and prevention of child maltreatment. And social distancing, how much it was needed to keep the pandemic under control, also has a massive impact on child abuse. Another part of it, and that's already mentioned by the previous speaker, is economic hardship. If poverty moves in, also there's an increase in neglect, and it's horrible to see that a 1 percentage point increase in unemployment leads to a 20% increase in neglect. These are shocking figures, so we need to act on it. And I've showed this slide many times in other conferences. Impact of child abuse is long term. It doesn't stop with a bruise. If you look at other illnesses like personality disorders, there's an almost 5 times increase if there was child abuse in the past, alcohol and related drugs, but anxiety and stress disorders, an almost 3-fold increase in their appearance later on in life. One of the most staggering one is the conduct disorders. Conduct disorders, an almost 7 times increase in later life if there was a case of child abuse. Also, there's a decrease in IQ. A South London study, ancient now, but still very valid, shows that there's a 12 times more likely problem in later years if there was child abuse. And with boys, it's possible that the IQ score will be 20 points less if there was child abuse in the past. Now, these are staggering figures, and we need to prevent child abuse with everything we do. And I'm very pleased to see that over the years, Jamaica improved an awful lot in doing this. So how can we mitigate the impact of COVID on child maltreatment? Early detection is still important. And if children are not going to school, it needs to be at other levels, like doctor surgeries, medical emergency rooms, etc. Parents needs to be supported, and that's where the social workers moves in. It's very important to continue home visiting programs and help new mothers deal with the problems. But also, it's very important to have financial support for the families at risk. We should not forget that. If you turn the coin around, there's also parent maltreatment. Children, and I mentioned already the conduct disorder with a 7 times more impact on it if you had child abuse in the past, is a very common disorder, quite often overlooked, and it produces very difficult children with very complex and quite often nasty behavior. Typical is, I won't do what you tell me to do. And that's a serious problem. It can lead to aggression, it can lead to antisocial behavior, meaning later on in life, it can lead to imprisonment. So we must do everything in our power to reduce the risk that a child develops a conduct disorder. The most common reason for conduct disorder is child abuse in the past, as I mentioned before. And as you can see on these figures, it happens to 5% of all children between 5 and 16 years old. Repeated and persistent pattern of antisocial, aggressive, and deviant behavior are the key figures of a conduct disorder. aggression towards other people, aggression towards parents, destruction of property, lying, theft, and serious violation of rules, leading quite often to imprisonment. So we have to be careful that we prevent the conduct disorders, and if we spot a child with a conduct disorder or the beginning of a conduct disorder, to give them the appropriate help. I'm not going.
You've been listening to Professor Henk Parmentier. He's Vice President for Europe at the World Federation for Mental Health, WFMH, addressing today's One Step Forward Consultancy International Safeguarding Children Conference under the theme, Every Journey is Unique and Everything You Do Counts. We've already heard from Jamaica's Deputy High Commissioner in the United Kingdom, Mrs. Patrice Laird Grant. We also heard from the Chief Executive Officer of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, Mrs. Rosalie Gage Gray. Still a lot more ground to cover. As we said, we're privileged and grateful that we feel privileged and grateful that we've been able to bring you the first hour of this rather engaging, stimulating, and thought-provoking Safeguarding Children conference. The conference will run for another 3 hours. For those who'd like to stay on, please stay on. Or if you don't have the link, go to onestepforward.org.uk. onestepforward.org.uk. Thanks to Davin Thomas and Celise Pinnock for doing technical and production duties behind the scenes. Thanks to all our guests and our friends from One Step Forward Consultancy for bringing us on board for the International Safeguarding Children's Conference, at least for the first hour. Thanks to you, our faithful listeners all over the globe, for making it the Jamaican Diaspora Live Online. All things being well, the Jamaican Diaspora Live Online returns next Saturday. Till then, please continue to have a peaceful and safe weekend.
Power 106 FM just presented the Jamaican Diaspora Live Online.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
9 o'clock.
Making your radio sound better. This is Power 106.